Now, I asked this question for the first time about 7 years ago. I was at this place called TED. Anybody watching those TED videos? So I walk out there, and the introduction he gives me is Tony Robbins is like a motivator, and he's helped a lot of sports people, so maybe you can, create some energy here. He had a very publicized divorce a few years ago. I couldn't fucking believe it. He really did say that. If you watch the TED video, he cut that out because he's embarrassed. So I got up afterwards and I said, God, it's a privilege to be here. I said, I didn't know that my divorce is very publicized, but my ex-wife is very happy. She has tens of millions of dollars, but I didn't come about that. I came to serve. First of all, I want to just thank you all for the privilege to be here, not only hopefully to serve you for a few minutes here, but also to attend. I have some friends that have gone to TED in the past, and I've been thinking about coming, and I was on the edge, and then I got invited, and I said, I want to come. So I've attended about 2/3 of this, and I've got an enormous amount, not only from the speakers, but from so many people that I've met. I don't think in all the places I've spoken or been around. And then I was trying to figure out how to engage this room, so I asked them a question I just asked you. I said, who here has ever failed? And no one raised their hand in the whole fucking room. Now, when you ask people, have you failed to achieve something? How many have ever failed to achieve something significant in your life? Say, I. Thanks for the interaction on a high level there. So I paused and I said, I know you're out there. I can hear your hearts beating. Who here has ever failed? And I demanded an answer, and then a few people raised their hand. I said, who here has ever failed? And now they started to comply. Now, when you ask people, have you failed to achieve something? How many have ever failed to achieve something significant in your life? Say, I. Thanks for the interaction on a high level there. But if you ask people, why didn't you achieve something? So I said, great. When you failed, why did you fail? And they said all the things you said. Didn't have enough time, didn't have the right technology, didn't have the money, didn't have the contacts, had the wrong people. The people said we had the wrong leader, right? And then this voice in the darkness, the whole room was pitch black, says, I didn't have enough Supreme Court justices. And I looked down, and it's Vice President Al Gore, who you probably don't know much about American politics, but he was working for you, or a partner, or even yourself, and you failed to achieve a goal. What's the reason people say they failed to achieve? What do they tell you? Didn't know enough, didn't have the knowledge, didn't have the money, didn't have the time, didn't have the technology, I didn't have the right manager, didn't have the Supreme Court. And then this voice in the darkness, the whole room was pitch black, says, I didn't have enough Supreme Court justices. And I looked down, and it's Vice President Al Gore, who you probably don't know much about American politics, but he and Bush Jr., they tied, basically, and it had to go to our Supreme Court to decide who's going to be it, and he lost. And when he said that, we were in Northern California, which is all Democrats, would have been supporters of his. They all stood up and gave him a standing ovation when he said this. And when they stopped the standing ovation, I said, that's one way to try to explain why you didn't become president of the United States. Didn't have the technology, I didn't have the right manager, didn't have the Supreme Court. And what are all those including? When they stopped the standing ovation, I said, that's one way to try to explain why you didn't become president of the United States. But I wouldn't say it's an accurate one. And there was this pause, like, what the fuck is he about to say? The right manager. Didn't have the Supreme Court. And what do all those, including the Supreme Court, have in common? They are a claim to you missing resources. And they may be accurate. You may not have the money. You may not have the Supreme Court. But that is not the defining factor. And you correct me if I'm wrong. The defining